He lives in the back of a sunken garden, a sort of bosky glade shaded by whiffle trees and spinosas, by deodars and baobabs, a sort of queasy buxtehude diapered with elytras and feluccas. You pass through a sentry box where the concierge twirls his mustache con furioso like in the last act of Ouida. They live on the third floor behind a mullioned belvedere filigreed with snaffled spaniels and sebaceous wens, with debentures and megrims hanging out to dry. Over the bell push it says, Jabberwhorl Cronstadt, poet, musician, herbologist, weatherman, linguist, oceanographer, old clothes, colloids. Under this it reads, wipe your feet and blow your nose. And under this is a rosette from a second-hand suit. There's something strange about all this, I said to my companion, whose name is Jashili Zila Bey. He must be having his period again. After we had pushed the button, we heard a baby crying, a squeaky, brassy wail like the end of a horse-knacker's dream. Finally, Katya comes to the door, Katya from Hesse Castle, and behind her, thin as a wafer and holding a bisque doll, stands little Pinocchini. And Pinocchini says, you should go in the drawing room. They aren't dressed yet. And when I asked would they be very long because we're famished, she said, oh no, they've been dressing for hours. You ought to look at the new poem Father wrote today. It's on the mantelpiece. And while Deshilly unwinds her serpentine scarf, Pinocchini giggles and jiggles, saying, oh dear, what is the matter with the world anyway? Everything is so behind time. And did you ever read about the lazy little girl who hid her toothpicks under the mattress? It's very strange. Father read it to me out of a large iron book. There is no poem on the mantelpiece, but there are other things. The anatomy of melancholy, an empty bottle of Pernod, a slice of cut plug, hairpins, a street directory, an ocarina, and a machine to roll cigarettes. Under the machine are notes written on menus, calling cards, toilet paper, matchboxes. Meet the Countess Cathcar at 4. If Easter falls in Lady Day's lap, beware, old England, of the clap. The reindeer, the otter, the marmink, the mink frog, and so on. The piano stands in a corner near the belvedere, a frail black box with silver candlesticks. The black keys have been bitten off by the spaniels. There are albums marked Beethoven, Bach, Liszt, Chopin, filled with bills, manicure sets, chess pieces, marbles, and dice. When he is in good humor, Cronstadt will open an album marked Goya and play something for you in the key of C. He can play operas, minuets, schottisches, rondos, sarabands, preludes, fugues, waltzes, military marches. He can play Czerny, Prokofiev, or Granados. He can even improvise and whistle a Provençal air at the same time. But it must be in the key of C. So it doesn't matter how many black keys are missing or whether the spaniels breed or don't breed. If the bell gets out of order, if the toilet doesn't flush, if the poem isn't written, if the chandelier falls, if the rent isn't paid, if the water is shut off, if the maids are drunk, if the sink is stopped and the garbage rotting, if dandruff falls and the bed creaks, if the flowers are mildewed, if the milk turns, if the sink is greasy and the wallpaper fades, if the news is stale and calamities fail, if the breath is bad or the hands sticky, if the ice doesn't melt, if the pedals won't work, it's all one and come Christmas, because everything can be played in the key of C if you get used to looking at the world that way. Suddenly the door opens to admit an enormous epileptoid beast with fungoid whiskers. It is Jocantha the famished cat, a big buggerish brute with a taut fur and 2 black walnuts hidden under its kinkless tail. It runs about like a leopard. It lifts its hind leg like a dog. It micturates like an owl. I'm coming in a minute, says Jabberwhorl through the sash of the door. I'm just putting on my pants. Now Elsa comes in, Elsa from Bad Nauheim, and she places a tray with blood-red glasses on the mantelpiece. The beast is bounding and yowling and thrashing and caterwauling. He has a few grains of cayenne pepper on the soft lily pad of his nose, the butt of his nose soft as a dum-dum bullet. He thrashes about in large Siamese wrath, and the bones in his tail are finer than the finest sardines. He claws the carpet and chews the wallpaper. He rolls into a spiral and unrolls like a corolla. He whisks the nuts out of his tail, shakes the fungus out of his whiskers. He bites clean through the floor to the bone of the poem. He's in the key of C and mad clean through. He has magenta eyes like old-fashioned vest buttons. He's mousy and glauberous, brown like arnica and then green as the Nile. He's quaky and qualmy and queasy and teasy. He chews chasubles and ripples razably. Now Anna comes in, Anna from Hanover Minden, and she brings cognac, red pepper, absinthe, and a bottle of Worcestershire sauce. And with Anna come the little temple cats, Lahore, Mysore, and Cawnpore. They're all males, including the mother. They roll on the floor with their shrunken skulls and bugger each other mercilessly. And now the poet himself appears, saying, "What time is it?" though time is a word he has stricken from his list. Time sibbed to death. Death's the third and time's the sib, and now there is a little time between the acts, an oleo in which the straight man mixes a drink to get his stomach muscles twitching. Time, time, he says, shaking a little cayenne pepper into his cognac. A time for everything, though I scarcely use the word any more. And so saying, he examines the tail of Lahore, which has a kink in it, and scratching his own last coccyx, he adds that the toilet has just been done in silver, where you'll find a copy of Humanité. You're very beautiful, he says to Deshilly Zila Bey, and with that the door opens again, and Jill comes forward in a chlamys of Nile green. Don't you think she's beautiful, says Jab. Everything has suddenly grown beautiful, even that big buggerish brute Jocatha, with her walnuts brown as cinnamon and soft as lychee. Blow the conch and tickle the clavicle. Jab's got a pain in the belly where his wife ought to have it. Once a month, regular as the moon, it comes over him, and it lays him low, nor will injunctions do him any good. Nothing but cognac and cayenne pepper to start the stomach muscles twitching. I'll give you 3 words, he says, while the goose turns over in the pan. Whimsical, dropsical, phthisical. Why don't you sit down, says Jill. He's got his period. Cawnpore is lying on an album of 24 preludes. I'll play you a fast one, says Jab, and flinging back the cover of the little black box, he goes plink, plank, plunk. I'll do a tremolo, he says, and employing every finger of his right hand in quick succession, he hits the white key C in the middle of the board, and the chess pieces and the manicure sets and the unpaid bills rattle like drunken tiddlywinks. That's technic, he says, and his eyes are glaucous and rhymed with hoarfrost. There's only one thing travels as fast as light, and that's angels. Only angels can travel as fast as light. It takes 1,000 light years to get to the planet Uranus, but nobody has ever been there, and nobody is ever going to get there. Here's a Sunday newspaper from America. Did you ever notice how one reads the Sunday papers? First the rotogravure, then the funny sheet, then the sports column, then the magazine, then the theater news, then the book reviews, then the headlines. Recapitulation, ontogeny, phylogeny. Define your terms, and you'll never use words like time, death, world, soul. In every statement, there's a little error, and the error grows bigger and bigger until the snake is scotched. The poem is the only flawless thing, provided you know what time it is. A poem is a web which the poet spins out of his own body according to a logarithmic calculus of his own divination. It's always right because the poet starts from the center and works outward. The phone is ringing. Pythagoras was right, Newton was right, Einstein is right. Answer the phone, will you, says Jill. Hello, oui, c'est le Monsieur Cronstadt. Et votre nom, s'il vous plaît? Bimberg. Ah, listen, you speak English, don't you? So do I. What? Yes, I've got 3 apartments, to rent or to sell. What? Yes, there's a bath and a kitchen and a toilet, too. No, a regular toilet. No, not in the hall, in the apartment. One you sit down on. Would you like it in silver or in gold? What? No, the toilet. I've got a man here from Munich. He's a refugee. Refugee? Hitler. Hitler, compris? Yeah, that's it. He's got a swastika on his chest in blue. What? No, I'm serious. Are you serious? What? Listen, if you mean business, it means cash. Cash. You've got to lay out cash. What? Well, that's the way things are done over here. The French don't believe in checks. I had a man last week tried to do me out of 750 francs. Yeah, an American check. What? If you don't like that one, I've got another one for you with a dumbwaiter. It's out of order now, but it could be fixed. What? Oh, about 1,000 francs. There's a billiard room on the top floor.